Hey guys, let's get more news about Dallas, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Ezekiel Elliott opens up about Cowboys reunion, chase that ring. Ezekiel Elliott is back in the Dallas Cowboys backfield, and couldn't be more excited for the reunion. After going the entire draft without selecting a running back, the Cowboys signed Elliott to a one-year contract worth up to $3 million for the upcoming season. This was my priority. Doing what I could to get back here, Elliott told Clarence Hill Jr. of the Star-Telegram. I have a lot left to accomplish here. I'm excited to get back with the fellas and chase that ring. The Cowboys are banking on Elliott having enough left in the tank to take on a significant role in an otherwise inexperienced backfield. Elliott made 5 starts for the New England Patriots in 2023, his first season away from Dallas after being chosen with the number 4 overall pick in the 2016 NFL Draft. Elliott posted 642 rushing yards with 3 touchdowns, while averaging 3.2 yards per carry last season. I can play at a high level at other places, Elliott told Hill. I went down to New England. It wasn't the year I wanted. We struggled as a team. But it was kind of cool to get a taste of another franchise and how things are done out the place. Now, Elliott returns to familiar territory, where he rushed for 8,262 yards with 68 touchdowns during his first stint with the Cowboys. He hopes to play a starring role in Dallas' efforts to make strides from the 2023 season, which ended in a blowout loss to the Green Bay Packers in the NFC wild card game after winning the NFC East division crown. Following his strong finish to last season, there is a legitimate possibility that Elliott opens the season atop the Cowboys' depth chart at running back. Across Elliott's 5 starts, the 28-year-old rushed for 213 yards with 1 touchdown, but it will be his experience and familiarity with the Cowboys' scheme that could vault him into a starting role. Rico Dowdle, whom the Cowboys believe has a bright future, rushed for 361 yards with touchdowns in his 5th NFL season. Meanwhile, Deuce Vaughn averaged just 1.7 yards per carry as a rookie, and veteran Royce Freeman was signed to provide some depth back on April 16. As for Elliott, Jerry Jones has high expectations. As recent as the end of the year, Jones told reporters during a press conference during the NFL Draft. I saw Zeke play, and I'll tell you, he's good enough to be a starter. Jerry Jones' comments at the Senior Bowl that the Cowboys would be all in on the 2024 season have hung over Dallas' quizzical offseason like a dark cloud. In addition to Elliott, the only marquee additions the Cowboys made during free agency are inside linebacker Eric Kendricks and Freeman, while several starters on both sides of the ball cashed in elsewhere. All-Pro edge rusher Micah Parsons believes in the Cowboys' plan and the pieces in place across the roster. It's a lot of talk about free agency, Parsons said recently, via the New York Post. But I would just love to see them add guys who are going to come in and help me and quarterback, Dak Prescott, and create opportunities for wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, get things rolling and get back into the positive direction, obviously making playoffs and making a chance at a Super Bowl run. In reality, we still have 6 or 7 All-Pros on our team that are returning to the team that we didn't lose, he said. We might have lost some foundational pieces, but it's nothing that we can't obtain in the draft and things that we can make happen in June. The Cowboys have much at stake in 2024, with Dak Prescott playing out the final year of his contract and Mike McCarthy a lame duck head coach in what may become a now-or-never campaign for much of Dallas' core in 2024. Cowboys' Micah Parsons throws shade at Eagles for tush push. What a person thinks about the Philadelphia Eagles, only 2 plays come to mind. One is their Super Bowl winning Philly special that darted Nick Foles into football immortality. The other is the tush push, which is often well executed by Jason Kelce and Jalen Hurts. A lot of individuals have dubbed the latter as the most unstoppable set in football. However, a lot of fans just do not think it's fair. Dallas Cowboys Micah Parsons posits that it's not even an entertaining move during his appearance on Cold as Balls with Kevin Hart, via LOL Network. So you could just push your quarterback in the end zone? Nobody wants to watch it. I'm just saying. Why we're not on TV? We're the stars, we're the show, the Cowboys linebacker declared. The tush push is basically a fourth or third down play that is employed when the Eagles are either on the goal line or are inches away from notching a first down. Nick Sirianni calls on Jason Kelce to get as low as possible. This is such that Jalen Hurts could slide over him and get them the necessary yardage in that play. The Eagles do it by pushing the quarterbacks behind so that he overpowers the defensive lineman. Micah Parsons is not the only person who thought that this would hurt the game. The NFL has been closely observing how the Eagles have been using it. Eventually, they decided to let it stay. But that does not take away from how insanely unstoppable the playset is. Even renowned scientist Neil deGrasse Tyson was impressed with the physics at work in this play call. The Eagles get, like, a quarter-second head start in momentum transfer, okay. So the Eagles are already in motion. They are using Earth as a launch point for their movement. In fact, if you run the math on this, every time the Eagles run this play, it slightly changes the rotation of the Earth. If you're not connected to the Earth, you've got nothing to press against, he said. The Cowboys, along with other squads, have done a lot to try and stop the tush push. But their efforts are to no avail because this play has worked 90% of the time last season. It even netted Jalen Hurts 15 rushing touchdowns, which tied him for the most in the league alongside Josh Allen. Micah Parsons and the Cowboys, along with the rest of the league, despise this move. Other teams may have tried to replicate it, but the success rate for the Eagles is just different. Jason Kelce plays a huge part in why it has been such a good set to run for the Eagles. His low center of gravity, along with his bulky frame, gets him closer to the ground. So, even he thinks that the tush push isn't worth removing from the game. I don't have the energy to care about whether it gets banned or not. We're going to run it right now because we're good at it and it's effective. And whatever they do next season, we'll figure out a way to do something at a high level and make it effective, he said earlier. Whose side are you on, the Eagles or the Cowboys defensive specialist? Cowboys urged to trade for NFC foe's second-round bust playmaker. The Cowboys addressed the bulk of their needs in the past week, using 5 of their 8 picks to fill in the depth chart along the offensive and defensive lines and expending just 1 pick, a 6th-rounder on Ryan Flournoy of Southeast Missouri State, on a skill position player. But adding Flournoy is an acknowledgement, however minor, that Dallas needs help at wide receiver after jettisoning Michael Gallup in March. The Cowboys' top 2 receivers are pretty well set. CeeDee Lamb is the number 1 target and Brandon Cooks is number 2. But how the hierarchy fills in after that is anyone's guess. That's why it would make good sense for the Cowboys to go sniffing around other NFL rosters to look for useful players who might have lost their spots in team rotations in the past few weeks. And one such guy might well be Panthers wide receiver Terrace Marshall, who is a bit of an NFL rarity, a highly drafted LSU wide receiver who has been a bust in the NFL. At SI.com this week, they're urging the Cowboys to take a gamble on Marshall with a low-cost trade that would set him up as a long-ball threat for Dak Prescott. In an article titled, Post-Draft Trade Targets That Make Sense for Dallas, writer Dustin Mosher argues that the Panthers are restocked with receivers after trading for Deontay Johnson from the Steelers, then using a first-round pick on receiver Xavier Legette. That means the Cowboys are in prime position to pluck Marshall. With the recent selection of Xavier Legette and the trade for former Steeler Deontay Johnson, the Carolina Panthers receiving corps is crowded, and Terrace Marshall Jr. could be the odd man out. While his first 3 seasons were marred by drops and overall disappointment, his potential as a deep threat is undeniable. The Cowboys lack a depth behind CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks, and Marshall's boom or bust skill set could be worth a low-round pick gamble for Dallas. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Terrace Marshall? Leave your opinion in the comments.